Hi, this is Matt with State of Flux here with a review for the curiously untitled Jurassic Park and/or World sequel that the internet tells me is Jurassic World Dominion. However, the film tells me is just a symbol now, so I think they're going the Prince route, that they're just like an icon, not so much a name. Which is an unusual direction to go with the franchise. But I come at you with in jest here. This is a movie I actually kind of liked. Which I was surprised. There's an awful lot of hate coming the way of this film, both from fans and critics alike, and I'm kind of dumbfounded by that. I happen to enjoy it. In fact, now I'm going to preface by saying some of my Jurassic Park views are a little different than others. I think the only good Jurassic Park movie is the first one. I think that movie is phenomenal. One of my all-time favorite movies and very seminal in the core of my being for my film appreciation. And the sequels are passable. My favorite sequel prior to this, so I will say, this is my favorite Jurassic Park sequel. Oh my god! My favorite sequel prior to this is the controversial and much maligned Jurassic Park 3, and my least favorite one is Jurassic Park, or Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. However, I don't think any of the movies is particularly awful, and I don't think any of the sequels even approaches the level of quality of that first film. Of the B-tier movies, this is my favorite of the B-tier movies. I enjoyed it. This is the first one since the first movie that has really had a science lean. The first movie is very hard science fiction. It is a science fiction film that becomes a monster movie in parts, but truthfully it is a film about science and ethics and the ethics of science. And that's what the film is. Packaged really neatly with dinosaurs that looked real for the first time, and it was monumental for a lot of reasons that I'm not going to get into. The second one became more of a monster movie. It went whole hog into the monster mayhem, very little science. By the third movie, there is no science involved at all. It's just straight monster movie. It's men on island, men need off island. That is the plot of Jurassic Park 3, and that worked for me. Like, for what I wanted from that movie was monster mayhem, and it gave it to me in a nice 90-minute package, and I appreciated that. Jurassic World had some intriguing thoughts and some interesting things to say. It just didn't really package itself in a way that was particularly entertaining for me. I liked Chris Pratt, but I didn't like the character that he was playing. I really liked Bryce Dallas Howard. I really didn't like the character she was playing. I've come around on her. We'll talk about Bryce in a minute. The second movie of that trilogy is, I think, easily the worst Jurassic-related film. It's the most asinine, most mind-numbing at times. However, the monster mayhem is really good, and when the dinosaurs are being scary, it is very atmospheric and very scary, and I appreciated that about the second one. Moving on to this film, the first 30 minutes of this film were fantastic, and I thought, honestly, that I was going to be watching one of the best movies of the year. That sadly turned out not to be the case, because once the second act kicks into gear, the movie kind of becomes more standard fare. But what I appreciated with this film is the science lean. This is a film that delves into the science fiction of it all, which is that it concerns itself with the ethics of genetic engineering and engineering these animals. The film is about how locusts are genetically engineered by Biosyn, a rival company to InGen in the books, that really hasn't had an appearance in any of the movies in any meaningful way until this film. And Biosyn is genetically engineering these locusts to eat all these plants and whatnot that are not related to the properties of Biosyn. They won't eat Biosyn products, creating a market for capital gain for Biosyn but leaving the Earth at the tipping point of a mass famine. And this dives into that. Now, being a Jurassic Park sequel and a Colin Trevorrow film, it's a movie laced with ideas that don't really get expanded upon, but when they are there, the ideas were compelling enough for me to be intrigued and pulled into the story. I also liked seeing our old favorites return. That's kind of cool, and how they integrated a little bit with the new characters and whatnot. I'm going to touch on the characters in a minute. What really worked for me is seeing dinosaurs in the human element. That's what worked best within the first half hour, where it was kind of presented to you almost like documentary style or news presentation style. That was really intriguing. I would have liked to have seen more of it, or maybe a whole movie of that, Planet of the Dinosaurs, if you will. But that we didn't get. However, we got a movie that concerned itself with characters, and it allowed the characters to kind of come to the forefront and flourish, which is, I think, where a lot of people are disappointed. They want more dinosaur mayhem, and there's a lot less dinosaur action in this film than there were in the previous two movies. That said, what's there is good, but that didn't bother me. I had no problem spending time with these characters, if only for one last time. Speaking to some of the negatives, I do think the film kind of wrote itself into a corner where it had to kind of pull, or it chose to pull all these characters together that didn't necessarily organically integrate into the story too well. It also had a bit of character overload where the writers didn't know how to give a character arc or anything to several of the characters. Most notably is Chris Pratt, who is completely serviceable in all of his scenes, but for a guy who's the main lead in the previous two movies, he kind of falls by the wayside for most of this film, and like he has his moments, but this film is really, if I were to assign main characters, it has three. The main characters are Claire, the Bryce Dallas Howard character, Maisie, the clone character from the previous movie, and Laura Dern's reprisal of Ellie Sattler from the original Jurassic Park. Those three are the ones that really kind of govern the film, and the rest of them are sort of subservient to that. And I was fine with that. And those three characters, along with, to some extent, Alan Grant, are given like character arcs, as well as Dr. Wu and Lewis Dodson. Interestingly enough, they never really settle on the fact that that was Dodson from the first movie. Like, I was waiting for the moment that he was gonna do like his villainous turn where he was like, I tried to get the dinosaurs, and I was the reason that Jurassic Park, this whole fiasco happened was because of me. And we never got that moment. He just kind of blumbers about throughout the movie. But it was kind of intriguing that they brought that character back. Completely no reason to do so, because they don't utilize him. They could have just done any company man and it would have been the same movie. Speaking to the characters, Bryce Dallas Howard was a character that I really didn't like, and if back in 2015 when I first saw the movie, I think somewhere online you can still find my review for that Jurassic World movie. I really was critical of her character and her, and she's one that I've come around to. I like where her character goes from 1, 2, and 3. She's the only one in this trilogy that really does get a character arc and grows and changes within each film. And that is something that I kind of appreciated and was surprised by. I liked the scenes between Laura Dern and Alan Grant. I like how Alan Grant's whole plot in the first one, he's a very well-rounded, very strong character, and in 3 and this one, he's just kind of trying to figure out why he's there. And that kind of amused me, that's like his character's through line of like, why am I here? Like, I shouldn't be here, this is stupid. That's something that kind of tickled me. The one character I will say disappointed me the most was Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm. And part of my biggest problem with The Lost World Jurassic Park is that Ian Malcolm does not seem at all reflective in any way the character that he was in the first movie. Now I know like being attacked by dinosaurs might change you, but it didn't feel like an organic change. It felt like it was two different characters. And yet again, this time you seem to get a character in Ian Malcolm that seems different from the two previous iterations. It's I don't know if it's an acting choice or a writing thing, but every time we revisit Ian Malcolm, he seems completely different than the last time we saw him, and in not the most compelling ways. That said, Jeff Goldblum is such a gifted actor that he is able to sell it and be the most likable thing in pretty much every movie he's in, but in these 3 movies that he is in. I thought his utilization in Fallen Kingdom was a lot more Ian Malcolm than the Malcolm that we got in this film. That said, he has 1 or 2 moments that seem very strikingly like the Ian in the first movie or the second movie. Like both. So like you can see how it's the same character this time, but his character seemed the most off. But at the end of the day, I liked this movie. I liked the we need to save Blue plotline. I was a little less invested in the we need to save Maisie plotline, but I did like the stuff that we learned about Maisie, and I think that young actress is really quite put to good use within the film. I like the use of the dinosaurs. I like the dinosaur action, as crazy, wild, and bonkers as it is. It's fun to see dinosaurs in our natural elements, in our cities, and how they're being used in the black markets and stuff like that. I liked all the video footage in the beginning, and I like the last 7 to 10 minutes of the film. I think are really quite strong. This film does come down to a big dinosaur fight that is almost identical to a previous installment in this franchise. I'm not going to say which, due to spoilers, but that was my most disappointing thing with the movie. But at the end of the day, I thought this was good. I'd give it a firm 3 stars. This is my favorite Jurassic Park sequel, and my favorite of the Jurassic World franchise. So there you have it. Let me know what you didn't like about the in the comments down below. I feel like it suffered from a bit of character overload, but and the writing was a bit weak sauce. There's a lot of humor in the movie. Not a single joke lands. It's kind of jarring and shocking, but there you have it. But yeah. Still, at the end of the day, I liked it, and I like these characters. It was fun to spend time with in this world one last time, supposedly. I'm sure 3-4 years from now, you'll be getting my Planet of the Dinosaurs review of the dinosaurs have taken over, and they're talking, and they're all like, Alan! But I don't know. I would like to see a Planet of the Apes version of this, like, thrust us 100 years in the future, and the dinosaurs are sentient, and we're the lone scavengers and stuff like that. That'd be fun. I'm babbling. Thanks for watching. Peace.